What's going on, everybody? Today is Thursday, January 2nd, episode 17 of Picks and Parleys. Been away, Christmas break. Um, I'm not at my place. I just burned my foot on the heater's right underneath this desk, and I put my foot right on it and just burned my foot. It's just not a great spot too, because there's a mirror directly, like I'm touching it right now. And I could just really see how fat I am when I sit down, and it's not.
Podcasting is blue collar work. People forget that.
Yeah.
That's right.
I look very fat. This is like a. Oh my god.
Side profile visual while podcasting is a fucking. I would wish that on my worst enemy.
Well, you're like hunched over in the seat too. It's just.
Yeah, I'm like leaned forward, so like my back isn't touching the back of the chair, but there's a lot of back still just smushing into the back of the chair.
That's tough. That's a tough scene.
Good thing I have shame and all that, because or else I would just turn the camera right now. But I will not.
You have to put like a bed sheet over the mirror or something so you can get through this episode.
I can't stop looking. And you know what's funny is I noticed it and I was like, this is funny. I'm going to have to say something about this. And the more I look, the worse it gets. It was like borderline funny. Now it's like, it's ridiculous.
He did go home for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
I think I did it.
Oh, it's porn. It's gotta be. He went home for Christmas. He was loading up.
Mags, did you stock up on porn when you were in Philly?
I watched it on my computer, but I think it's gone now, so we're good.
I still think that might be the most believable thing. All right, I think we can roll now. All right, well, yeah, Mags, we didn't really start. We were just talking about we're talking about how fat I am, but but we mainly waited. I mean, we got to kick off with college football playoff. We missed some time. We missed the whole first round, second round. The Sugar Bowl just happened, and you know what? I'm here, and I'm just ready. I'm ready for what's coming. So if you want to start going, Mags.
So I mean, I guess this is less of a dunk on the SEC and more just a commentary overall on the college football playoff this season. I think that the best teams were. I think that this won't happen every year, but it just so happened that the best teams this year did not win their conference championships. And I think that, this year is the first year of a 12-team playoff, and, it just so happens that it went out this way. But I personally don't think that we should be changing this format after 1 year of data. I'm not factoring in anything with the bye. I think just straight up, the best teams are winning, and they just so happen to not win their conference championship.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ohio State, if they don't lose to Michigan, that probably happens in the Big Ten championship. Yeah. Ohio State's probably like what, the 2 seed then, or maybe the 1.
They're probably the 1.
And Oregon would be like 5 or 6. Actually, the bracket would probably look a lot better.
I think a lot of the qualms people would have been remedied if Ohio State had just done this earlier.
It's that was the flukiest game of the season, them losing to Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Michigan beat it.
I'm not mad.
2 great games in a row by Michigan.
I'm very happy Michigan pulled that off, because now we got to play basically 2 G5 teams.
Yeah.
So it worked out great.
I do think, Mags, when you were gone, I said this to Corey, but do you remember, I think it was about like 3 or 4 years ago now, that when they were first talking about the 12-team playoff, people are like, well, anybody outside the top like 5 or so, like, but really saying like just anyone who doesn't make the 4-team playoff probably doesn't have a shot anyway.
Yeah.
And I know they weren't ranked the same way, but like the 4 the top 4 teams, quote unquote, the 4 bye teams are all eliminated after.
Well,
before
I
there's
think
even 4
though
teams left.
you have to look at it as the teams that are remaining were teams numbers 3 through 6 in that final college football ranking, the final committee ranking. So I think that if you took out if you eliminated the conference championship stuff, I think the 4 teams remaining are the 4 best teams in college football this year, and I don't think that. I mean, I guess Oregon and Penn State could probably be flipped, but other than that, I would say these 4 teams are probably the best 4 teams remaining. And I think that, it's refreshing to see that we got it all played out on the field rather than seeing hypotheticals of, because this Ohio State team and this Penn State team probably aren't in the playoff if it was a 4 team.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of that. So it would be what? Oregon would be 1. Honestly, if they seeded it the same way that they did, I think Notre Dame probably would have been 2, and then Georgia would have been 3, and then
2 losses though.
I mean, but who else would have 1 loss?
Well, I was saying that because I think it would be between Penn State, Ohio State, and
Texas.
So you'd be deciding between, and in order to put Texas in, Georgia would be 3. But I could also see one of those other 2 being 3 and Georgia being 4.
Yeah, Penn State is not getting in a 14 playoff this year.
I think that.
Yeah, and I think it's so Texas would have 2 losses, both to the same team and both to a playoff team. So I think that would maybe help them, and
I think they probably get in.
Yeah,
because of how bad the Michigan loss to a 7-5 Michigan team is.
So how scared are you guys of Notre Dame? Because I'll be honest, I thought that they were kind of not a real team.
I'm not.
And that's a real team.
As far as the teams on the actual players on the field, I'm not shaking in my boots, but James Franklin is James Franklin. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not scared. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I think my line of thinking is Notre Dame is going to be the 3rd best team that Penn State has seen this season, and Penn State is the best team Notre Dame is going to have played this season on both sides of the ball. And I just think that, and I see Notre Dame is favored to start this game, which is a little surprising to me. I think that that Georgia team looked very overrated. I think that them losing their starting quarterback probably hurt them a ton. And I mean, Notre Dame, they had, I guess the level of competition is higher with Georgia and Indiana versus SMU and Boise State, but I really don't view Indiana being that much better than SMU in my mind. And I don't really view Boise State. I guess Georgia is a lot better than Boise State, but with the backup quarterback, I think both these teams had a very easy route to where they're at. And I think, gun to my head right now, Penn State is a little more battle tested than Notre Dame. But I don't know. I think it'll be a very evenly matched game and a lot more evenly matched than the other side of the bracket.
I think Georgia showed up for about 2.5 games this year. The second half against Alabama and both the Texas games. And other than that, they were just kind of not what we're used to seeing out of them.
It really calls into question are the thoughts I have on Texas seeing that Georgia team kind of roll over in that big game, right? I mean, that Texas team not only lost to Georgia, but was getting dominated on both sides of the ball by Georgia and just could not get anything going against that defense. And I don't understand how they lost to that Georgia team twice.
You're going to get down a rabbit hole if you start doing that, because you could do the same thing with Oregon, right? Because all year it's pretty much, so you're judging everybody based on like now, before the playoff, you were judging Penn State based on them playing an undefeated Big Ten champion as close
Yeah.
as they did. Ohio State only lost to the undefeated Big Ten champ by a point. And part of, I mean, I'm not in a position to shit on the Big Ten, so I won't. But part of what helps Big Ten in the like Big Ten SEC debate is Oregon being the only undefeated team, right? And having some pretty good wins on the resume. And then they just get the fucking shit kicked out of them by Ohio State, who everybody knows is a talented team, but just lost to like a second or second tier team in your own conference, right? So it's like once you start doing that, there's just like you could get down an avalanche if you let yourself.
Yeah, I think that the takeaway from this year is that every year these conferences need to be done on a case by case basis, and I think that this year the SEC bias particularly kind of ended up falling flat and being an egg on the face of a lot of people at ESPN and certain people on this podcast because they kind of just fluttered out at the end of this season. And I think that like next year, Big Ten can do the same thing. And I would keep this take if the SEC next year was in the same position and the Big Ten, lost their playoff games, whatever. I'd say okay, the SEC has it better this year. Like it's a cyclical thing. I just think it's unfair to give certain teams and conferences the benefit of the doubt, especially if they have a 3-loss situation like Alabama did just because they play in this conference, because sometimes as we've seen this bowl season, maybe that conference wasn't all it was cracked up to be this year.
Okay, so
I personally will be taking off. I'm sorry, I'll be taking off the Big Ten hat during the Texas and Ohio State game, but I need to say this quietly in my home, but I think Texas is going to get fucking murdered.
I kind of think they are too.
I think they might get smoked, yeah.
Take Ohio State minus like 14.5, and I think you're still probably safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a State of the Union, the SEC Lou, SEC Nation, SEC Lou, leader of the SEC Nation. So it was kind of born out of like necessity, right? I mean, you guys are all Big Ten guys or Penn State guys, and then in this argument, going to be Big Ten guys. So at first, it was just a fun troll for me, and then there was a point where I was like, where I started to buy into my own argument, but I think my thing all along has been because I don't fully understand the argument. I guess it's mostly what Eric says. So because my thought all year has been that the Big Ten is better at the top, but overall the SEC is probably still a better conference, and I was just holding on to that take until the penultimate week where Bama and Ole Miss both take a third loss. That was kind of it, and I've been trying to like still like kind of be interesting about it, but because I was like, all right, I mean, 2-loss Bama, 2-loss Ole Miss stacked up against 2-loss Miami. Based on, I felt like Miami was a team that we banged on all year for like they're not very good at all. We're just waiting for them to actually lose instead of almost lose every week. And then when they got to the 3-loss, I could kind of, when you're talking about just one playoff spot at the very bottom and accepting that whoever gets it is probably going to get their doors blown off, I could still will myself to say Bama over Miami. And even I don't know. So while Mags, you were having your technical difficulties, I was counting up bowl records and stuff, and I mean, so the SEC, they lost the important ones, or I guess the ones that carry the most weight. But I mean, the record is very similar to the Big Ten, and outside of Penn State and Ohio State, not many people are winning from the Big Ten right now. But yeah, so I think coming clean, State of the Union, we're going to say that in SEC country, this year it was a loss. I'm going to chalk it up as a loss. Unless Texas wins the national championship, which I don't think they're going to, because then the second best team in our conference won the national championship, and then it's fucking over.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as of right now, yeah, I mean Notre Dame is unclaimed territory, so I might have to
Big
scooch
Ten.
on over there. They should be in the Big Ten.
I don't know how they're not. They're
pretty
so
much
annoying. I hate them like they're another Big Ten team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as an ACC, as a graduate of an ACC accredited university, I will say that pretty much everybody in that area is like either not allowed to be in the Big Ten or they're too pussy to join the Big Ten, and that's what makes them an ACC team, and that's why Notre Dame plays ACC schedules all the time, for the most part in like their sports.
Yeah.
That and Northern Illinois. But yeah, I think that's my spot is it was a good battle, but I know when I'm cooked, and I'm cooked. So that's it.
Texas,
That's it
though.
for me.
So
But they're
Texas,
still like
do you want to
they're-
break down Texas's path to victory against Ohio State? Is there
it
a
would
path
just
to victory?
I think it would just be oh shit, we totally have the wrong idea about these two teams. It would have to be an Ohio State Oregon situation.
It would have to they'd have to like, and this very long shot, but Texas has a good D line. They would almost have to completely stuff the run and like make Will Howard do it himself. That's their like throw the ball himself.
I mean, we saw them do that for a quarter against Oregon, and they walked out of it with what, like 28 points?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's.
But yeah, that was bad. But you
Well,
also, I don't know. That's all I got.
That was the root of my argument with Bama kind of all year. It was like I think they are like a Walmart version of Ohio State this year, where that was kind of an argument that I was making earlier, was sort of like when it was still a debate for that like 12 or 11, whatever you want to call it, that last spot, was that they'd rather put a high ceiling, low floor team in than somebody who's low floor, but kind of, the best
Like
you're getting out
earned
of
it a
them is
little bit.
probably they're going to lose by a touchdown or something. And I
Yeah.
feel like that was always my thing with Milroe, is like overall he's a trash can probably, but holy shit, there have been like 8 quarters this year that he's been fucking like Cam Newton. And so I just think that yeah, like when you're picking between that or like Miami, when Cam Ward is Superman, they beat like mid ACC teams by like 3.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that was something they were looking at, and I feel like Ohio State, the worst place to have an Achilles heel is quarterback, and that's where theirs lives. And so there's like an inconsistency level with him that I kind of liken to Milroe, that he's more consistent than Milroe, but like that it's just kind of been an analogous kind of thing for me this year. So I think if Ohio State comes out totally flat and everything goes for Texas, I think they would have to jump out to a like holy fuck lead. And I think I would like be puckered trying to see if they could hang on to it.
Hold on for dear life.
It would
Yeah,
take
give them 28-0. I still am like, I might like Ohio State.
It would take them going up big and Ryan Day like having a brain fart. Like it would take so many things going absolutely correctly, and Ohio State only needs like 1 of 5 things to go correctly, and they're winning that game. And I don't see how any of the remaining 4 teams, any of the other 3 teams are beating Ohio State. I think it's them and then everyone else. Like this Notre Dame Penn State game on the other side of the bracket is kind of like the national championship for those 2 teams, because the next game is just going to be an ass whooping.
Yeah, I wish Eric was here, because when we picked our last episode, when we picked the first round games, I think Mags and I both said that. I think we thought that if Ohio State just beat Tennessee, I think there's a chance they could win outright against Oregon. And Eric kind of acted like that was crazy. And where is he now? He's
I
at his
was I
girlfriend's
was
parents'
very
house hiding.
surprised that Oregon's offense. I mean, Oregon's offense that game came out and went what, like 3 straight 3-and-out drives essentially, and like
Yeah.
they look up and they were down like 24-0, and it was just like wraps. Like I think Ryan Day realized like, hey, like I have two of the best wide receivers in the country. Let me just keep throwing to them because I can. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to hand it off to one of the best running backs in the country. And I'm going to do that too. And it's just like, yeah.
And the other really good running back who's
Yeah.
probably
And
going to
then
be
the
like a second
other
round
running
pick.
back that would
Yeah.
start on like every other team in college football, but he's the backup. Like I mean, they paid what, $30 million for this roster. They should be this good. And if it sounds like sour grapes, it's because it is sour grapes. I fucking hate Ohio State, but like they're just simply the best team remaining and the most talented. And it would take injuries or something, some sort of
Please.
God type thing to stop them from winning it all.
So is your worst case scenario? Let's walk through this, because I assume best case scenario is you get to the national championship against Ohio State and you win. That's
Yeah, I think
probably,
winning the national championship is probably the best case scenario,
but
Lewis.
specifically against Ohio State. I mean,
Yeah.
that's compiesta.com. Okay,
Yeah.
so the
That would
worst.
be that I would be rocked up for months,
I
years
That's
actually
Randy
even.
Marsh catching a goat.
think
Yeah.
that specific scenario, if I had that happen and you told me none of my sports teams would ever win a championship for the rest of my life, I would strongly consider like taking that like guarantee.
Where are they for you? Because my college fandom's never matched up to any of my pro teams. Where is a Penn State football national championship, or just how much you like the team? How does that measure up to like your other fandoms, the Yankees?
I would say so. I was talking to my friends about this when the Yankees made the World Series. Rest in peace, Juan Soto. Fuck you.
To your friend?
No, to the Yankees World Series.
Last conversation we ever had is that fuck one. So
Last conversation we ever had is what my thoughts are between Penn State and the Yankees. I said personally, I think the Yankees are my number one fandom just because I spend like the entire regular season watching them, and then like the entire off season, like it's just a year round thing where Penn State, like, yeah, I
That
went
makes
to
me
school
so
there.
much happier that they lost.
Yeah, I
Knowing
went to
that
school
now.
there, and yeah, like I grew up a fan of them, and well, I grew up a Yankee fan too, but like I grew up a fan of them and everything. But like Penn State football is kind of just an August through like January thing for me, where the Yankees are like a year round thing, and like you spend every day watching them play. So I think Yankees would be number one, but a Penn State national championship has kind of like been a thing that I've never even considered in my lifetime. So the fact that we're this close, it's almost like not real to me.
it's crazy how like a little 8-year-old Penn State fan, like he's been more likely to get raped by a team official than win a national championship.
Facts.
That's a tough life. That's a tough fandom.
I mean, like winning a national championship in college, there's only like like every year there's maybe 3 or 4 teams that even have a chance at it. So it's like in college football, you don't even like you play to like beat your rivals. Like that's kind of like your thing, right? Like and winning a Big Ten championship or a conference championship is big too. But like like a national championship is something that I don't even like enter a season thinking about normally. It's kind of just like, damn, I would love to beat Ohio State, Michigan this year.
Yeah, I think that I will be honest, I think pretty much since I would say the like revitalization of Penn State was, I think I was a freshman in college when you guys lost to Pitt, but then you were like in the playoff conversation.
Yeah.
And that loss kind of kept you out. But that was like,
Michigan.
that was when they returned to like perennial top 10, I feel like. And from then to now, I've never actually been scared of them being able to win. Like I wouldn't be actively mad that you guys are happy. I just have too many Penn State fans I know that would.
Oh, I would be actively
for
mad.
me
If it was
for
in
me
this
to accept it.
situation, I would be really mad. Like I'd be
Yeah, this is the first time I'm scared because if, like I said, Texas is a high ceiling, low floor team, and if they could have a high ceiling game, knock off Penn State, I'm actually nervous because they
Yep.
might be able to get to. Again, I'm really not sure what to think about Notre Dame, but Penn State might be able to get all the way to the national championship game and never play a team that's better than them
I think
and have to
like
win that.
making the national championship I think making it this far is a successful year already for Penn State. And I think that
That's
is
loser
loser
talk.
talk to say that, but like it is like from where we were, from where this, like, I think people overrate Penn State as a program. Like, we have never been on the level of these Alabamas and even Clemson's and, like, Ohio State's for a long time. To be in this conversation finally, I think is a win. And I think our fan base in general doesn't understand that yet. Like, we don't have the NIL funding of these other programs yet and stuff. So, like, to get to this point, I think is a huge win, and it should be a great stepping stone for us. It'd be nice to win one while we're here, but like I'm very content right now, even if we lose our next game to Notre Dame.
Oh, I'm gonna be real mad if we lose to Notre Dame.
Like I won't be happy, but like I'm not ending the season like, damn, I can't believe like that's how it ended. Like these last couple years, I've been like, damn, like I can't believe we didn't make the playoff again this year. Like we made the Final Four this year. Like that's really good for us.
That is true. However, things fell our way. They, in my opinion, Notre Dame winning is still somewhat falling our way because I really do think if we go into next week and we let James Franklin see the bracket and that number 2 is beside Georgia, it's over before it starts. But like we got to play probably the third best ACC team, a Mountain West team, and then
This is
Notre
the best
Dame.
break probably for us in the 12-team playoff. Ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is probably the best it'll ever break for us. But I think you got to beat Notre Dame, and if you go like to the national championship and there's a team waiting there for you that's better than that's like an Ohio State, and this is gonna fucking hurt, but they've steamrolled everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you
lost
get
to Texas, I'd be mad. If we made it and lost
yes,
to Texas, I would be mad. If we make
me
it
too.
Ohio State, I will be mad for other reasons, but I won't be mad at Penn State.
I almost wish like it was like any other team that was rolling through the playoff like this, other than Ohio State.
I would go so far as to say I'd rather be Michigan. Like I would rather.
Oh yeah,
be Michigan.
I would.
I hate Ohio State. Like out of the Yankees are my number one team. Ohio State is my number one hated team in all of like any sport. I hate Ohio State more than I hate the Red Sox, the Ravens, the fucking Kevin Durant, wherever he is. Hate them more than all of them combined.
So that's what I was getting at before is the nightmare scenario Texas beats Ohio State, you guys narrowly lose to Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame beats Texas by like 3 touchdowns.
No,
that would suck.
I think
it would.
Nightmare to me is making the national championship and getting embarrassed like 45-7 to Ohio State. Like
that, I agree.
I
Yeah.
think if we like made the national championship, it would be great. But like getting fucking dog walked on national television to our rival would fucking like just
like
we're like the 5th inning of the World Series this year times like 1 minute.
That the Oregon game, it going like the Oregon game went is the nightmare scenario.
Oh,
like
so the Oregon game, I wouldn't mind. We were at least competitive.
No. The Ohio State Oregon game that just happened.
Yeah, that would be hell.
That's the like over in the first quarter is the nightmare, and you just have to sit there and watch for 3 quarters because you're like, they're in the national championship game. When is this ever going to happen again? What if something crazy happens? But it's never going to.
Yeah.
Like, that's the nightmare. You just sit there and watch them pound your shit in for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
All right, now I know now I know what I got to root for.
Lewis, I think you're in a very good spot to see our hearts get fucking shattered in the next week or 2 weeks, though. I guarantee
Yeah,
that.
I think. I mean, I said like a while back. I guess it was definitely before the Michigan loss, but I think it was maybe like 2-3 weeks after Ohio State lost to Oregon, that I kind of just had this take that I was like, I know they just lost that, but I think they might be the best team in the country. And I think because of the new playoff format, they've gotten a new life that they in other seasons wouldn't have had. But I think this is the biggest thing that the 12-team playoff does is like the high talent teams that don't totally fuck up, like they're still going to get a shot. And so I do think there's a great chance for like 7s and 8s and 9 seeds and like teams like that to make it, because especially with like the auto buys, because I guess like Ohio State's 6, right? They're not actually 8, but just the way that the seeding stuff works out. But
Yeah. Is Penn State no, Texas is the highest remaining seed technically, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
5,
Yes.
6, 7, and 8. Texas is 5.
Yep. Should be fun either way. Next Thursday and next Friday.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Do we want to make gambling picks on them real quick?
What are the lines?
Notre Dame open -1.5. I don't have the over under, but I can check that. And then Texas open -6.
Wait, whoa. That's not right.
Or sorry, Ohio State open -6. I was opening my.
I'm taking Ohio State in that. I think there's a better chance they win by like 20 that they lose.
Yeah.
The over under in those games are. Oh, everything is locked. Oh, there we go. 46.5 for Notre Dame, Penn State, and 53.5 for Ohio State, Texas.
Is Abdul Carter playing?
Allegedly undetermined, but I would say yes.
Yeah.
There were some Twitter posts today that would ascertain he is playing.
I still might go over in that, although it's going to be a run fest.
I would go.
I don't want to pick a side in that one.
I would go under Penn State and Ohio State -6.5.
That might be what I would do too.
Yeah, I'd go Ohio State for sure. That feels like it should be bigger.
Ohio State is the most lockiest lock I've ever locked in my life. Like I've never been.
It's a good effort, Mags.
I'm not even trying to jinx it. Like I legitimately am like, there is no chance on this fucking earth that Ohio State does not cover -6 after what we just saw yesterday.
I agree. I think that I hate it, but I love it. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Also, the light in here, my face looks beet red.
It does.
That's like the light they have in hostage situations. Like,
yeah, I'd go Penn State, Ohio State.
Yeah. All right. Should we transition here? Love transitioning.
Yes, sir.
All right. So NFL. Last 2 weeks combined here for the picks. Mags 17-14-1, a massive week this past week. I was 17-15. Eric 14-17-1. Core 13-18-1.
It's been a disaster class.
That week that you've been talking about all season, it just happened.
It arrived, yeah. Luckily, it arrived so late that I'm good, I think, but I need like a win list for it to really be a disaster. But like it's here. We're here. We're in it.
You might be the best primetime gambler I've ever known, because you've had some just absolute stinker, like 2-win, like 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock slates, and then you always sweep the primetime, so it's like doesn't quite look as bad.
Yeah, Yeah, I've definitely had some bailouts. I've had some where I get like I win the Thursday night, I have a shit one, a shit four, and then I win Sunday night and Monday night to give me like 7 wins.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A nice
I think it's
3-0 to
happened.
get you to 6.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's been bad. I don't know. I gotta look deep within.
Yeah, so overall standings here, Core 56.0%, still leading the charge. Mags 54.3%, Eric 54.2%. They are separated by Eric has a loss where Mags has a push, and they have the same amount of wins. That's crazy. Or maybe it's the same amount of losses, and then there's a loss that's one as a win, and that's. But yeah, it's a half a game, and I'm at 51.8%. So the situation is I'm 6 back at Eric and 6.5 back at Max. So essentially, it's kind of a good thing because I'm really just head to head against whoever has the worst week between the two of them. But I need like an 11 or 12 win week, probably a 12, and one of them's got to throw an absolute stinger, like a 5 wins.
I mean, I hate betting this week in
This
football.
Oh,
is the
so
week to get.
terrible.
This is by
And
far the worst week to bet any sort of
what
football.
what year was it where the Red Sox had that insane September collapse?
Yeah,
Do you
and
guys know what
Every
yeah,
other
the
I've been?
Rays walked it
September, they
off in
haven't
game
won a World
162.
Series.
Yes. Yeah, I've been thinking about it all week. I'm like, I just can't let that happen.
Well, I mean, the only person who's been worse than you has been Eric, so that's
That
that's
has
good at
been
least.
good for me, yeah. But holy
Um,
fuck, man.
yeah, it really was a 2-horse race for last between Mags and I, with me having like a 65% loss probability pretty much the entire time, and Eric has really joined the party recently,
What am I
and
like
that's really
3 games up of Eric or Mags or
uh
whoever?
4, I think. Let me look
Okay.
quick. Yeah,
So
you are.
I'm in play for last or first here.
You're 4. Yeah, you're 4 ahead
Yeah.
of Mags. You're 3 in the win column, 5 in the loss column,
Okay.
2 in the push column. So
Gotta
I
be
guess loss column's really what matters because you got pushes are essentially wins for you in that scenario. Although with
Yeah,
2, I don't know.
I this is a bad week. Like week 18 is a bad week to be like on a skid and having to get off of the
Yeah,
skid.
or to need a miracle. Bad time to need a miracle. It's when you don't even know who's fucking playing quarterback or some of these things.
Like, what do you do with the Ravens game? Like,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
assuming we're not going to talk about it, but what do you
Hey,
do?
yeah. What are our games we're talking about here? I'm looking at the slate right now.
well, so here's the thing: is
There's like
because
2 relevant games.
I don't want us to know each other's picks, right? So what we're gonna do is all 3 of us are gonna send our picks to Corey. Once he has all of them, then he'll send it to me so I could make the graphic. But so we won't know each other's. So I put the lines on here. I figured maybe we could just quick talk about relevant game, like the games we would pick, just ones with anything on the line, pretty much. And
Steelers,
honestly,
Bengals. I don't want to even.
we could abstain from some of these. I would be okay. Would be okay with that. But yeah, the first one was going to be Bengals at Steelers. So the Steelers, this is probably one of the most something to play. It's maybe the most something to play for game.
We
No,
have to win this game
it's in the NFL this week or for the Steelers this year?
for the Steelers.
I meant in the NFL. It's probably third for that actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say Vikings Lions is
Yeah, I
all
forgot about
the marbles there.
that.
The Steelers have to fucking win this game because
Yeah,
it immediately, if you lose and who do the Chargers play? The Raiders?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Chargers are
So,
at Raiders -5.
and the Broncos are playing the Chiefs backups. So,
but the
you lose
Broncos
this.
game doesn't matter for us.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are out. I think the
If we lose and they win, we
No,
have the same record, but we beat them.
Oh fuck yeah, they can't pass us, but they can get the Bengals in.
Yeah,
So yes, Chargers win against the Raiders. Steelers lose. We're playing the Ravens in the first
yeah,
round then?
Chargers win, Steelers loss is
is Ravens.
oh
Yeah,
no,
Ravens.
I thought that was Buffalo. I think that's the worst case scenario one.
No, that would get us this. The lowest we can go is 6, since the
Yeah, we
Broncos
can't go
lost
to
last week.
7.
Uh,
So, yeah, where we're at now,
I'm not
I
that
think.
sad about this week.
Yeah.
Fucking Lamar in the playoffs? Are you kidding me? Lamar or CJ Stroud in the? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. All right. I completely forgot there were 7 seeds. All right.
You take the
Sorry
guy
to
who's
sidetrack the conversation.
Lamar's
All right.
kryptonite is the playoff bracket
And the
and a clean piece
Steelers.
of toilet paper.
Yeah. And occasionally the Steelers defense. I don't feel good about the Steelers
Here's
right
what
now.
the real reason we need to win is, because if we play the Ravens, we are a sorry enough team right now that they would absolutely get a win right now. And I just can't have them. I can't have Lamar stacking playoff wins. I love the narrative that's going,
Yep.
and becomes a running back in January, and yeah, or anything we plays the Steelers. But
We need to win a fucking playoff game.
yeah, I think the Texans are I think us and the Texans are the 2 worst teams in the AFC playoffs. So it would be awesome if we could play them.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
The Texans and the Steelers are the 2 teams that everyone is like, we want to play them. So almost
Right.
like everyone else would be pissed if they played each other. Because everyone else is like, damn, we get 2 free wins.
That would quickly become the Saturday early afternoon. Let's kick these playoffs off with a bang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who gets to get slaughtered by the Chiefs next week, Paul?
Yeah. I think that the Steelers, I think this is a Mike Tomlin, like, if the Steelers are losing this home game to a fringe playoff contender a week before the playoffs after losing, is it 3 straight or 4 straight?
4
straight. Like,
lose.
there has to be some uncomfortable conversations being had about Mike Tomlin, because this is now something that we have seen for almost like 5 straight years, where this team is just fizzling out late season and then laying an egg in the playoffs, and it's just not acceptable anymore. I think the bottom half of this league is so bad that going above 500 is not as impressive of a stat than it used to be in my head. I mean, like, we have like 6 or 7 teams that have like 4 wins or less. Like, it's the NFL is a bad league right now on the bottom half, and the Steelers being constantly at the bottom of the top half is just not doing it for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are not favored against the Bengals at home, and that's correct. They are a better team than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've been a long time Tomlin defender, because this year I've been toying with the fire Tomlin a little bit. I've started getting into the weeds a little bit in the fire Tomlin crowd, I guess, on Twitter. I've seen some stuff and I've been like, okay, I'm kind of getting there. If we lose this game and lose in the first round, I'm the whole way there. I've defended him for long enough. I'm the whole way there. And at this point, because I did kind of like used to go with the argument like, oh, some team's going to hire him right away. Let them. Like, at this point, like, I
Let
think
some
it's
other
just,
team deal with it. I would rather, like, the Eagles have won a Super Bowl, tanked, gotten like they have rebuilt and gotten back to this point, like, and we have stayed exactly where we were when they won that Super Bowl. Like, it's just being just good enough to make the playoffs. I'm sure, like, franchises like the fucking Lions, like, they're great now, but before this, like, for teams like the Lions and the Jaguars and these shitty franchises, that's great, but like, at some point, enough is enough.
Yeah, and we have
Can't even shit on the Jaguars anymore. We have a bad track record against the Jags.
True.
And
yeah, they've beaten us in the fucking playoffs.
we have such an incredibly like talented defense, other than maybe at cornerback probably, but and it's just not performing. The defense is just not playing well. They've been bad.
Did we
For
figure out who the mystery hated player is? I think it
I
might be
don't
Mika.
know. It might be. It might be. I'm gonna hate that so much if that's who it is, and Connor's just gonna fucking
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it
behind the
doesn't.
scenes, Corey and I have a high school friend that he picks random very good Steelers and is just like, this guy fucking sucks.
Minka, T.J. Watt on the road. Um,
He's hated Minka since before the first All Pro. So like,
yeah, it's been a long time, and now he's gonna be like, "Oh, I was always right." No, fuck you. No, you weren't.
fucking 6 years later.
6 years later, yeah, motherfucker, it's gonna be such a pain in my fucking
Yeah, he
ass.
used to say TJ. I mean, the stats backed up that he was better at home than on the road, but it was pretty much every time it'd be a road game, he'd be like, TJ gets blocked like once, and he's like, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, he
When
was
he'd sleep in
averaging
his own
like
bed, he's a pussy now.
us. He was averaging like a sack and some a game at home, and like half a sack a game on the road, and he was like, "Sucks on the road."
Yeah.
All right.
If he played every game on the road, he'd be a second team pro.
Yeah.
What a bum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this one, the Bengals with a win, they need a lot of help. This would perfectly sum up the Bengals season of, I mean, it looks really good, but what the fuck is going wrong? Where they will win this game, and either the Chiefs just won't try against the Broncos, or the Dolphins will still find a way. Because that's the other thing is, even if the Chiefs, like Carson Wentz does his Mahomes impression, and
He's
the
not. I
Broncos
think
lose,
Carson Wentz isn't playing in that game. It's the third string, I think.
really,
Yeah, I read
Carson
somewhere
Wentz is too valuable.
it
You don't want to
was.
get him hurt.
I saw a tweet that was like former Steelers quarterback playing for the Chiefs this week, and I was like, who's like what former quarterback? And it was like the Steelers' 7th-round pick from 2 years ago, who they cut like in the preseason as their starting.
That guy?
Like
Jesus.
it's a black dude from
Yeah, his name starts with an O, I think.
yeah, it's that dude. I think is their starting quarterback for the game.
Yeah.
I saw they were like 12-point dogs, and I was like, that feels wrong. Like, even
I'm
if they're
seeing
not
it
playing
at 10 and a
anybody.
half right now, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it probably got up to 12 since this article was written.
I think that was earlier in the week, I think. But yeah, so I mean, the Bengals, it's just they're gonna win, and then it's not gonna happen. Other interesting games. I mean, the NFC South, I guess you could say is interesting. The Bucks are 2 touchdown favorites, and if they just win the game, they win the South. So the Falcons are technically live. The Saints, I think we haven't really talked about some of the bad teams. This is a good time to just exercise some of those demons. The Saints, remember for like 2 weeks where I was like, the Saints fucking suck. They're not good. They fucking suck. Then they're like worse than I even thought. They have fully quit.
They're horrible.
They
Yeah.
do suck. So I don't really think that's very interesting, but I was gonna have us pick the Bucks game, but
Yeah, I was also on that train with you. Unfortunately, I said the same thing about the Vikings, and they might
yeah,
end up with the 1 seed, so
the Saints, I just don't even want to like take a live bullet on that game because I was like, well, Kamara and like I don't know, they can like I think Carr was even in like when they played the Packers, and I was like, I guess I'll take the over. I just need a little bit from them, and they lost 34-0.
yeah.
The over was
Yep.
like 44, and I was like, fucking seriously. Another one. Something weird happened though in the Rams clinched the West during the Falcons Commanders game. Because this game, the Seahawks, if the Seahawks won, they'd be 1-1 against each other. And then they'd be going out to like the 8th tiebreaker, like some weird like strength of victory, strength of schedule, common opponent, like something like that. They'd be all the way out to that. But because the Commanders won and not the Falcons, it tipped the scales like too much in the Rams' favor. So now even if the Seahawks win, the Rams still win the West. So this is also a massive oversight by the league not putting this in the same window as the Bucks, because I get why they did it. It's like they don't want to load up the second window, but and like they don't want the Niners and Cardinals to play at like 10 a.m. I guess their time. But I mean, fuck them, they're not in the playoffs. But so if the Rams lose, the Rams are the 3 right now. If they lose and the Bucks win, then the Rams will slide to 4, which then gets you the loser of the Vikings and the Lions, which based on this line, the Rams aren't playing anybody. And I would not do that if I was them. I'd much rather play the Packers or the Commanders.
Oh, absolutely. They've got to be playing, guys. What's the line?
They're 6.5-point dogs.
What?
Yeah.
To the those same Seahawks I've been watching?
Are the Seahawks in like contention for a wild card or something?
No, they're done.
Why is that line?
The Seahawks are in the perfect mode of like they have no reason to win, but they don't really gain anything from losing, so they're probably just going to try to win.
Yeah,
but they might get like a draft spot.
Are you sure the Rams are locked in, or they aren't locked into that 3 seed?
Yes, I just did the predictor today.
Okay. Huh.
Unless it's wrong, but yeah, I did Bucks win and Rams lose, and the Rams were 4. My internet's so shoddy right now, I'm not going to double check that.
Here, I think you're right, though. They
so that's
the 3 seed with a loss or tie versus the Seahawks. Wait, what?
If they nothing like clinching with a loss.
What? The Rams clinched the 3 seed with a loss or tie versus the Seahawks?
Does it say and a Bucks loss?
No, or a Bucks loss or tie versus the Falcons. But why?
So if they win,
yeah, why would they not want to win? Why would a win not clinch that? What?
That's got to be a typo.
Yeah. I'm on the Rams.com, so let me. You keep
somebody
going.
at Big Rams is shaving points.
Now I'm on JoeBucksFan.com. Is there no like reliable source in the Lord's year 2025 for?
Look up Matt Stafford's wife's Twitter. This may be the best.
Matt Stafford's wife is going to be preparing for the anniversary soon.
But my main thing was if the Bucks lose, then the Rams can sit everybody because it doesn't matter. But if the Bucks win, then the Rams know they probably want to win, and then they could play people, which is like that's the one thing they try to avoid is like putting the games that matter for the same thing are usually in the same window. But yeah, maybe I don't fully understand it, but the Rams are sitting everybody.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Vikings Lions, which I actually love one team, but I'm not going to say it out loud. But I love this line for one of the teams.
Where is this game? It's at Detroit, in Detroit.
It's in Detroit, yeah.
What's the line and the total?
Vikings plus 2.5. Over under is 56.5, which might be the biggest number I've seen all year. Other than maybe like Ravens, Bengals.
I mean, Motor City Man Campbell in that one. I can't be betting against my guy in that. Not to tilt my hand at all, but
that'd be a fun over to just. That'd be a fun game to take the over and just hope.
Is this the most? So I guess it depends on how you value making the playoffs versus the 1 seed. Because I remember a couple of years ago there was that like Raiders Chargers game or whatever where like they could both tie or one wins one.
It's my favorite game I've ever watched.
Yep.
Is this the most that's ever been at stake for a Sunday night game in the last week of the NFL?
I mean, yeah, I think it depends on how you, because like for the 1 seed is maybe the biggest stakes, but there was I think it was Colts Titans a couple of years ago that it was like they were tied for the 6, and it was like winner goes, losers out.
Wasn't that the AB reach over the goal line game? Wasn't that like the win the division or you're out of the playoffs?
That did clinch the division, yeah. The
Yeah,
I don't
Immaculate
think that was
Expansion.
week 18 though. I feel like that was like a
it
week
That
might
was
not have been.
before
it
the
was on
last.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, so it was the week before.
so
Well,
Yeah,
wait, that was before it was expanded though, and
I
the
think it was
season
week
was
16
shorter.
out of
Was
17,
it? Okay.
probably.
I'm looking at the playoffs now. So that 5 seed would end up playing who in the second round? Would that end up being going to Philadelphia for the second round?
If no other wildcard teams win, they'll probably go to. It'll probably be a rematch of this game.
They play the 1 seed.
If
Yeah,
no
because
other wild card teams win. Yeah, because they reseed, so it'll be the 2 and
yeah.
the 3, and then the 1 and the
So
lowest seed.
So right now, I'm looking at the standings right now. Assuming everything holds pat, it would be Packers at the Eagles, which is a rematch of Week 1 in Brazil. It would be Vikings. Is that right?
at the Bucks,
Commanders,
probably. Right?
Commanders, Rams at the Rams, and then Vikings at the Bucks.
Yeah.
And there is a non-zero chance that it wouldn't be that surprising if all of those wild card teams won. I think the Eagles are a lot better than the Commanders, but the Commanders did
Right.
literally just beat them.
Yeah, that's the thing with the reseed is it's so whoever's 5, right? They'll play whoever's 4, so either the Bucks or the Rams. So they go to the 1 seed if both the 2 and the 3 seed win, because then the 2 and the 3 play each other. But if either the 2 or the 3 loses, then that is no longer the case.
Yeah. It's very confusing, but I
Which
think it
I
is the
like.
best way to run a playoff system.
I don't hate the idea of the Packers winning a playoff game, but I don't know. Every time that they play a good
I'd
team, they
love it.
fucking lose. So
Yeah, I'd kind of love if they won. And just all
yes,
this Eagles just first round. That'd feel really good.
I would love to see like a 5 seed host a conference championship. That would be sick.
I was actually researching that this week. Has a wild card team ever hosted a playoff game? The answer is no.
Really?
Yep. Never in the history of the NFL has a wild card team hosted a playoff game.
I thought when the Steelers, which Super Bowl was it? When the
No,
Steelers
it
beat
was.
when the Steelers beat the Cardinals, I thought them and the Jets played in the AFC Championship, and I thought they were both wild card teams.
I think we won the division that year.
Yeah,
Okay.
weren't they?
Well, yeah, because we beat the Ravens at home
Oh, it
in
was
the conference
when we played
championship game.
when we played the Packers. We were the 6th. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
No, that was the Seahawks. We were the 6th. Unless it was
I thought the
both.
Seahawks, we were like the 1 or 2 seed.
No, we were the 6th because we had to win the last. We went on a roll at the end of the year. Snuck in and played
The Colts,
the
right?
Bengals. We played the Bengals, who won the division in Cincy, and Kimo von Oelhoffen took off
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer's ACL. Then we beat the Colts, in Indy, and then the Broncos in Denver.
Broncos. Yeah.
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 Look at these bubbles coming out of your mouth.
It's
Bubbles?
because he gave a thumbs up, and Riverside was like, "Don't you want to do a thumbs up bubble emoji?" It won't do it for
Really?
me though.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
There it is.
Wait, why does mine not do that?
But yeah, when the Packers won the Super Bowl, I think they were the 6th, and I thought we were both 6 seeds. But I guess maybe I don't know. Whatever. Usually I'm good at that stuff, but I'm not right now. All right. I think that about does it though, guys. If you want to follow all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of them are at Picks and Parleys. What's that? What you got there?
My pen.
Oh, was that signifying anything or?
Yep.
Yep.
Onwards.
All right.
Oh, he's from.
I'm just my little ADHD ass was getting a little excited.
But yeah, also you can follow the show Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I did want to mention upcoming stuff. Obviously the NFL regular season coming to a close. We've got the regular season picks are going to wrap up there. We'll do something for playoffs, but we'll probably talk about that offline, and then we'll have something for next week because we're going to be picking that next week. But yeah, football off season coming up. So we've been talking about a couple different ideas for things to do. Got some like trivia, drafts, debates, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're gonna be trying out a couple things. So stay tuned for all that. That'll be coming down the pipe in like the next month. We'll be getting into some of that shit. So but yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.